But you were looking for something in your life. You were looking for a husband.
Yeah, I was looking for love. I was so desperate for, to be loved. And I just really experienced that from him.
A lot of people might think you became a nun because you couldn't find a boyfriend. I mean, that is horrible.
Yeah,
I mean, people think the same thing about me. You became a priest because girls didn't want to date you. I'm like,
it was like your last resort.
I broke up with her.
Good for you, Father.
Welcome to the Father Leo Show, where we are dishing out faith, culture, and commentary. And our special guest today is Sister Mary Gemma Harris, Third Order Regular, TOR, and she is a self-proclaimed nerdy nun.
Yep, you got it, Father Leo.
I love it. Sister Gemma, thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here with you.
Sister Mary Gemma, excuse me, because I think
That's okay.
I think of sisters and I think of immediately like Mary, Sister Marys. And
right, everyone has a Mary. But in our community, not everyone has a Mary, so
really,
I'm one of the special.
Okay, so Sister Mary Gemma Harris, TOR, she is a singer-songwriter. Mm-hmm. She is a graduate of Franciscan University, Franciscan University at Steubenville, Steubenville University, and
2010.
2010, and you're also formation director for your novices.
Yes, for our community.
Okay, so first of all, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here.
It's exciting, really, to have nerdy nun.
That's why they put me in formation, Father Leo.
No, but okay, so now people are think, how dare you call a nun a nerd? But you said it to me, right? I mean, it's like...
Yeah, I'm like, kind of nerdy, Father, yeah.
And now tell me, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I just have loved to read since I was a little girl. And so I was always the bookworm who would stay up super late at night reading.
Reading what? What did you like to read?
Oh,
Nancy
novels.
Drew.
Oh, Nancy Drew. Oh my gosh, Father Leo, you speak
are
my
a nerd.
language. Little Women, Anne of Green Gables. I loved Narnia. The Lord of the Rings.
I mean, again,
Lord of the Rings
people
is
would
pretty
think
nerdy.
of that stuff as just being nerdy, geeky. But now you're a nun, and so you're supposed to be holy, and like everything smells like roses around nuns, right?
Right. You hold your hands just so.
Exactly.
You wear your veil just so. Everything's perfect, right?
But you're a different type of sister in that you're a Franciscan. We all know what Franciscans are. What is a TOR?
That is a great question. And I'm going to show my nerdiness even more. Because it's such an interesting, part of the Franciscan family is very wide and deep and many branches. We always draw out this picture of a tree when we're talking about the Franciscan family. So the Third Order was founded by Francis. And at the time of Francis, people wanted to follow in his way of life, but they were married or they didn't fit into women who wanted to be cloistered. They wanted to do active works. So the Third Order was founded so that people could be penitents and live in the world or do active ministries in the world, but still follow the Franciscan way of life. So today it's secular. And
there are some people who be like, what are you talking about? We're talking about Saint Francis of Assisi.
Saint Francis of Assisi, yes.
He's the one who's talking to birds and he's in everyone's gardens. He's the lover of animals. And what was it that drew you to become... I mean, I'm not asking for your whole vocation story, but give me what you got. But you became a Franciscan for a reason.
Yeah, that's a good question. My dad loved St. Francis. He was a convert when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old. And he chose Francis as his confirmation saint. So it was always in the back of my head, this guy who loved the birds and is known for loving nature, and which my dad does. He is a botanist, works in agriculture.
Get out. All right.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. It was built in.
Kind of ironic.
But when I came to Franciscan University, it wasn't necessarily that I didn't really know anything about why it was Franciscan. It's run by the friars, the TOR friars. But really, and I didn't even take any Franciscan classes when I was at the university. But there was a spirit that I think I was catching when I was there. And it's, we say now, and I've learned now, and so I look back now and I'm like, okay, that's what it is. Our foundress, Sister Catherine Caldwell, says that Franciscan spirituality is a spirituality of the heart. And that's very much what drew me to Jesus at Franciscan University, was a spirituality of the heart.
Did you come here to become a nun?
No, I came here to get my MRS degree.
MRS?
Oh, you haven't heard about the MRS degree?
No.
To find a spouse, to be Mrs.
Oh,
that's the joke. Isn't that hilarious?
You came to Franciscan to find a husband.
But also to get a journalism degree.
And a journalism degree.
Right, yeah. So
and
something
to find
practical.
a husband. Okay, this is cracking me up.
I know.
Okay, you came in. What kind of guy were you looking for? And don't lie to a priest.
Oh, Someone who would help me raise a big family,
So you wanted a big family.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I'm one of 6, but I wanted like at least, 6
was there
to
like
a dozen maybe.
I like Latinos, I like Americans, I like what?
Definitely tall, dark, and handsome.
Tall,
would be
dark,
my
and
type.
handsome.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you found Jesus.
And then I found Jesus. Amen.
And then you were going to become a journalist to do what?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was like thinking about teaching for a while. I was also a double majored in English. I was thinking about teaching. That kind of fell away. I just wasn't as interested in it anymore. But I loved writing. I worked on the campus newspaper at Franciscan called The Troubadour, named after St. Francis.
Sure.
The Troubadour. And I just really enjoyed that. I love interviewing people.
Oh.
So I'd rather actually that we were reversed right now.
Ain't gonna happen, sister. Ain't gonna happen.
But I love hearing people's stories and getting to share
folks,
them.
I literally just called a nun a nerd and I used ain't. All right. And now people are going to think, just because they're going to have that image, where's the ruler? You're going to slap me. People have a very strange perception of nuns. But why did you want to become one?
Some based on experience, but why did I want to become one? I was really drawn to the saints who were religious sisters, like especially Saint Therese. She's like the cliche.
Sure.
Nun, of course, as a little girl. And I didn't actually encounter many sisters growing up. Where I'm from in the Pacific Northwest, yeah, there's so few.
Pacific Northwest?
Pacific Northwest, yeah.
Gosh.
Washington State. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful state.
Yes.
Amazing people, but there is a true kind of like
a desert.
A spiritual desert.
In a lot of ways.
Like a liberalism that excludes freedom of Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What I sense there.
And like I'm saying, I was drawn to the university, the spirituality I found here because it was so heart focused.
How did you even hear about
where
that
I
place?
grew up? My aunt, my mom's baby sister, came here in the 90s. She was one of the first people to do the study abroad program in Austria. So I'd seen pictures of her, my Aunt Michelle, at the study abroad program. And so I knew about that. I had another friend when I was in high school who was just a few years ahead of me who came to Franciscan as well. And it was always in the back of my head as like one of those great Catholic universities. But I was actually really like going to go to Thomas Aquinas in California or Gonzaga University, which is near in my home state. But God had just had another plan. It'd take an hour for me to tell the whole story, but he was like pulling me out of my comfort zone, wanting me to grow in my faith. And I just felt there was something in my heart that wanted to respond to that and like give myself to it as a total act of trust, like jumping out over a chasm to come here to Ohio.
And then you become a nun. When did you enter to aspirancy or?
Yeah, so I worked as a journalist for a year after graduating, 2010 to 2011. I went back home to Washington State and worked at a secular newspaper, which is a really good experience for me. I really learned a lot about myself, how I need community.
Fake news,
that too. But I learned a lot of people's stories in that year. I didn't do a lot of hardcore. I wasn't on the police beat or anything like that. I was interviewing a lot of business owners who were telling their stories of following the Holy Spirit and starting something new, whether they were Christian or not. I knew that they were.
You were working for a secular company.
Yes.
And you were hearing Christian stories?
I was, yeah. So it was coming out just naturally. Maybe it was my listening. Maybe it was them just feeling comfortable. Who knows? But yeah, I was hearing that. And so that was helpful. It was like a little nudge from the Lord of like, keep listening to me. I am leading you too. You can trust me on this.
And then you had worked for a year.
I needed to pay off loans, Catholic education, which I was grateful for, but yeah, and then leave you in debt. And then I entered.
That you were called to be a nun.
It was actually in college.
And what was it that made you think that?
It was more gradual for me. There wasn't like a big St. Paul moment, road to Damascus kind of a thing. But I would say I fell in love with the Lord through my years at Franciscan, spending more time in prayer, going to daily mass. I know those things sound so like pious and like
totally
everyone
pious.
Does that, right?
But you were looking for something in your life. You were looking for a husband.
Yeah, I was looking for love. I was so desperate for, to be loved. And I just really experienced that from him.
A lot of people might think you became a nun because you couldn't find a boyfriend. I mean, this
that is
horrible.
Yeah,
I mean, people think the same thing about me. You became a priest because girls didn't want to date you. I'm like,
it was like your last resort.
I broke up with her.
Good for you, brother. I didn't actually date though. So I kind of am one of those people in that, with that storyline of, well, you didn't date, so you became a nun. But I think maybe I wasn't ready at the time. Now I'd be in a place, if I didn't have the call to religious life, I'd be comfortable dating or whatever. But yeah, the Lord had a lot of healing to do in me. I needed to know how to receive love. And that actually happened, it happened a little bit before entering religious life. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to say yes to him. But a lot of that happened afterwards, of being able to receive love and give myself more freely.
Well, some will ask this, especially young girls who will be very challenged by you, just your very presence. It's like, well, how would you know what you're missing out if you've never even dated a guy? What would you say to them?
Love is a risk. And sometimes you have to jump in without knowing what you're going to be losing.
And you're talking about loving Jesus.
Yeah, amen. Yeah.
And so now you're a nun of how many years?
It'll be 12 years this summer.
And,
yeah, 12 years.
And I'm not going to even ask you if there are any regrets, but what have been the biggest challenges and biggest blessings?
Oh, yeah, that's a huge question. How to sum up 12 years? I think the blessing is definitely...
Give me one, and don't mention any names.
Oh, oh gosh. Challenge, I think loving and receiving love would be the challenge, and loving and receiving love would be the blessing too.
Oh,
like living in community.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah, loving, I think loving with freedom and loving with true joy, and not kind of like a gritting my teeth. Like, I'm going to be the hero here. I'm going to give up my life. I'm going to give up my, stuff, my car, my this, my that. That was kind of the attitude that I entered with, I would say, looking back at little Katie Harris, who entered in 2011. And the challenge for me over the year has been letting go of me and letting him kind of take my life and transform it into what he wants it to be.
You said experiencing love and learning how to love other people.
Yeah.
I kind of want to get a working definition of love for you, because for some people it just means, like a relationship, a physical relationship where there's romance, where there's some physical intimacy. There's going to be some sacrifices. They would call it compromise.
Yeah.
But how are you loving the Lord? How do you get love from Jesus? How do you love others if you can't have like a romantic relationship with them?
That has been one of the greatest challenges for me. Like, Jesus, how are you going to satisfy this? How are you going to fulfill this?
And
that's the question of every woman who seeks this vocation. How has he? I think it's a deep knowing and a deep being known by him. There's just some experiences I've had in prayer, Father Leo, that I just can't even describe. But yeah, like heart-to-heart experiences where, I just knew that he knew me and loved me through and through.
Can you try?
Can I try? Oh
listen,
my gosh.
Listen, I mean, you're a songwriter.
Yeah, so
some of the stuff comes out in song, right?
I try to use words, right, yeah.
So what's the difference? If you want to sing it, go ahead.
If I want to sing it.
Cue the music.
One of my songs is called Him Whom My Heart Loves. It's actually a lot of my favorites. My sister's favorite song of mine. And it's probably one of my favorite songs too. I wrote it before I made First Vows in 2014. So it was my young in love song. And it's taking a lot of words from the Song of Songs. That book in the Bible it is very romantic and does use a lot of kind of explicit language between the bridegroom and the bride. And in the song and in the Song of Songs, the bride is seeking after her beloved. And she's like, where are you? I want to find you. And that's kind of that hunger, of the heart that I've experienced over the years.
Is there a refrain that you have?
Yeah, the refrain is very simple. It's just Him Whom My Heart Loves.
Can
I sing it?
I mean, listen, it's the Father Leo show. I'm not going to not ask you. I mean,
oh, totally. Yeah. Maybe I'll just sing like the first verse into the chorus. Yeah.
I would love it.
I sought him through the city. I sought him in the square. I sought him in the shadows. Where has my love gone? Him whom my heart loves, Him whom my heart loves, him whom my heart loves, him whom my heart loves.
Wow.
That's just part of it. But.
That's awesome.
Thanks for letting me sing. I didn't think I was going to be singing today.
Listen, anything is going to happen on this show.
Never know.
Next, we're going to look at Sister's haircut.
I didn't sign that release form today.
Well, I want to talk about that because you've made by the way, that was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
And you made a radical change in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, even to the point where most girls are very concerned about their appearances. They're looking for fashion. Mm-hmm. They think that it's flattering, but it's really deflating. And now you're wearing a gray robe with a headdress.
Yes.
Tell me about that. Tell me about this decision, what it was like putting it on for the first time. Mm-hmm. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of things. I think when I was in college, I was already starting to sense like a desire for greater simplicity in my life. Like I remember there were tubs outside of the dorms, in the lobby of the dorms where you could dump clothes that you wanted to give away, and other students could kind of like swap clothes. And I remember doing a lot of dumping, especially later in my college years. And I remember a specific shopping trip with a friend where she was buying a number of super cute items. And I just kind of
wait, a nun just said super cute.
Super cute. There were these super cute shoes, flats. I loved flats when I was in college. But and I think she got earrings and t-shirts that day. I can remember it like it was yesterday. But I just had this sense of like, I don't really need or want any of those things. And I went home that day. She kind of made a little bit of fun of me for not getting anything with her. But I just felt like, yeah, Lord, you're calling me to something different. So he was preparing me kind of already then. And it's actually really freeing to like wake up in the morning and I have two habits in my closet. Do I want to wear the gray one or do I want to wear the gray one?
Really? That's it.
It's so freeing. Yeah. I get my hair ready to put underneath a veil and I don't have to worry about, does it look perfect today? Is it falling just right? No, I'm just his. And so my time is free for him. My heart is free for him. Even my vanity. I can be vain. You can be vain in a habit as well. I'm sure you can be vain in a collar too.
Never. I am never. I mean, it is funny because for priests, particularly diocesan priests, I'm a consecrated secular institute priest, and we don't actually have a habit or a uniform. Mm-hmm. But in this regard, you have this one outfit. Priests can wear. I could wear a cassock. I could wear a tab collar. I could wear a Roman collar.
Options.
Exactly. I could wear. I mean, like one of my favorites, and I know my more traditional priest friends can't stand it. I love my polo collar because it's like a polo shirt.
That's awesome.
Totally love it. I bought it in Fatima, so it's got to be okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Blessed Mother approved that. But the habit itself, people are going to ask these silly questions, so I'm just going to ask for you.
Yeah.
Is it itchy?
Oh, it's not itchy. It's not wool, but it is super hot. We call it the plastic bag. Because it's polyester. It doesn't wrinkle, which is the plus.
Could you just get it linen or something like that?
Then it would be super wrinkly.
Yeah. So it has to be practicality.
Yep, it's definitely practical.
Wow.
But yeah, I cannot tell you, Father Leo, the looks that I get in the airport or, the conversations that it leads into, being able to wear this and stand out in public.
And you do.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of, they might call you an Amish woman.
Yep, I've gotten that. I've gotten Mormon missionary. I've gotten, all kinds of things. I've gotten, what school do you go to?
What's the most offensive thing that you've experienced? And I say this so that people can be sensitive to the fact that, these days everyone is easily offended.
Yeah.
Has there been anything that's just kind of offended you?
Yeah, but then I was able to kind of turn it around and understand maybe why the guy did it. I was in an airport. A lot of these things happen in airports. I was on the just normal hallway, and there was someone on the moving walk, whatever you call that, next to me. So he was definitely going a lot faster and had the upper hand. Yeah, he had the place to go. He kind of passed me, and he turned around and looked at me and pointed. And I felt so vulnerable in that moment, just like, oh my gosh, what have I done? But he pointed at me and said, "You're a fake. You're a fake. Who paid for that?" Meaning my clothes, my shoe, whatever. And in that, I had a grace in the moment to just think, he must have been hurt by someone in the church. Like he must have experienced hypocrisy of some kind. And I just prayed. I was like shaken. I felt almost like attacked, of course, personally, but it was a really good experience because I think a lot of priests experience that kind of persecution. Sisters do too. And yeah, Jesus promised that we'd be persecuted for loving him. So
okay, part of me just wants to beat him up right now.
I know, right? I like called my mom after I was like coming home on my home visit, and I called my mom. I was like, someone just talked to me at the airport.
So you can have a cell phone.
I think I must have had a cell phone. I can't remember how it. We don't always have a cell phone, but we can travel with.
Yeah, you can travel
like
with it. Just, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you're not outdated. You might be traditional, but you're not outdated.
They are flip phones, though.
They are.
So there's that.
Dang. So you, that's pretty. That really hurts my feelings.
Yeah, but again, it was a good experience, and a lot of our community's call is to intercession. A lot of intercession, reparation, and atonement are the three words that we use, kind of big words. But reparation, like making up for hurts and offenses against Jesus. Because anytime something like that happens, it's not just against me.
Oh, it's directed
against the church.
to the one who made you.
It's against Jesus.
The one you love, yeah.
Yeah.
What does a nun do all day? Especially your kind of religious order. Because there's something called a charism.
Yep.
And it's the central motivator for why your religious community exists.
Exactly.
So what's the charism for the third order regulars?
Yeah. So there's a lot of third order regular sisters, a lot of different communities.
Correct.
So we're just one of many communities, right? So we were founded in 1988 here in Steubenville, actually on campus. And the sisters at the time felt called to renew the early life of the Franciscans. So not just third order early Franciscans, but also first order. The kind of balance between the contemplative and the active. So spending a lot of time in prayer, Francis would go away and spend Lents. He called them Lents, like 40-day periods up on the mountain in a hermitage. And then he'd come down and he'd preach or he'd minister to the lepers, various works of mercy. So we do, we have that balance of contemplative active in our life. So a good portion of the day is prayer. We have 2 holy hours in the day, as well as a noon prayer time.
And when you say holy hour, you just spend an hour of prayer all together or on your own?
All together.
Okay.
In our chapels. At our mother house, we have a big chapel. At all of our mission houses, there's a little chapel for the 4 or 5
So you
sisters
pray
there.
2 hours a day plus other personal prayers.
Well, the noon prayer is together as well. Sometimes praise and worship. We're a charismatic community, and sometimes like Stations of the Cross or the Rosary, something like that. So yeah, and there's other times of prayer. Every Wednesday morning is like a prayer morning.
So the stereotype is that all nuns do is pray all day.
Yep. So I'm kind of helping that cause in my mouth.
But
I guess so.
Because you're a contemplative.
Yeah, we're that balance between the two. Yeah.
But you said something very unique about active in the secular world, or tell me about
doing works of mercy.
Practice. What do you do besides prayer?
Yeah, right. So a lot of our sisters in community, I would say the majority of the sisters out in mission houses do college campus ministry, a lot of spiritual direction.
Got it.
So we're here at Franciscan, we're at the study abroad program, we're at Florida State University, which is a secular campus. That's been a really cool thing that we've been doing recently. I haven't served there yet. I've served at the study abroad campus, which was an amazing few years.
And with that, you're kind of just meeting people where they are in life and just accompanying them along the way.
Yeah.
And so people will ask, do you serve the poor? Do you,
Yes, we also do that.
You do all of that stuff.
We have a house here in downtown Steubenville. I don't know if you've driven around.
Oh, I know this area.
You know this area. Yeah. So there's a lot of poverty, a lot of drug addiction, prostitution. So our sisters have served. In the past, we had a diocesan-run thrift store called Samaritan House.
Okay.
That closed in 2020. A lot of things closed in 2020. But the Lord has been leading us to work with an ecumenical group called Urban Mission down in downtown Steubenville. So we have sisters that serve there. And then in Florida as well, there's a lot of homeless. So the sisters serve the homeless there.
Now, as a formation director for young women, they're called novices.
Yes.
Word meaning new.
Yep, you got it.
But it's also connected. Well, anyway, let me not geek out here.
You're kind of nerdy too.
Hey, sister. I am a little bit of a nerd, but
I love word.
Yeah, I love
stuff.
words.
Yes.
But just this whole idea of being new to it.
Yeah.
These are young women or older women. I mean, is there a cutoff age for this?
I'm 35, so
okay, so
like
very
20
young,
to 35.
young
Still
women.
young. Yeah.
Oh, they're young.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not going to say anything because my producer is looking for a good Catholic woman. But not all of them are going to become nuns.
That's the thing. Yes. So me walking with them is not, okay, how can we make you the best nun possible?
How long do they have?
They have a year of postulancy actually first. And then if that goes well, if God is kind of keeping the doors open, if the community keeps the doors open, then they enter into novitiate and they receive a veil for the first time.
Oh, that must freak them out.
Sister name. Oh, yeah.
A lot of tears.
It's so fun. Yeah, tears, but also, there's excitement too. There's a lot of excitement.
I look like a nun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a real thing for them. Making that transition. And then 2 years in novitiate before making their first profession, which is kind of like, it's not like they're making their full commitment. They're just promising to live the vows for a year.
How often do you have to work with them?
We have class 3 mornings a week for about 2 hours. And so we're definitely together all that time. And then every couple of weeks, 3 weeks, we have a one-on-one meeting where they can share more deeply. How is discernment going? I feel like I fit. I feel like this isn't a good fit. I'm happy here. I'm not at peace here.
Yeah.
So those are amazing meetings.
That one sister, said that I pray too loud or something.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just sharing all that stuff from their hearts.
You're working with a lot of different age categories, but predominantly young people.
Yeah, women in their 20s.
Yeah, I kind of want to hear your experience of women, young women. Listen, I've been a priest now for over 25 years at this stage.
Congratulations.
Right?
That's awesome.
Ordained. Oh, God, I feel old. Now that I think about it, it sounds a little depressing, but...
It's wisdom, Father.
All right, again, now lying to a priest. What are they struggling with? Because there's a lot going on, and the world seems pretty messed up, and there seems to be a real attack on what a woman is, who are women. So how do you interact and deal with that stuff?
Yeah.
I could have used other words, but there's a nun present. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. And I can't speak specifics, of course, because of confidentiality, but in general terms.
No, not even about them.
Yeah, but in general, what are women?
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of it is stuff I've struggled with too. So it can always be a trigger for me, but also I can share what I've learned as well. So a lot of insecurity. I would say insecurity would probably be the number one thing of like, does God love me? Do these other women that I'm trying to live with love me? Can I be accepted for who I am?
That insecurity, obviously, in the secular world.
Yeah, totally. They're bringing that in with them. I brought it in with me. Yeah, and my whole hero bit of like, I'm gonna do this amazing thing and become a sister. A lot of that came from finding my value in what I do and defining myself by what I can prove, what I can show you, I'm worth this because I can do this for you. I can work really hard in the kitchen. I can, do my duties really well. I can show up to prayer on time. So I see that in a lot of the women coming in. They're so zealous. They're so like all in, but some of that can be from this needing to prove.
How do you get over insecurity?
A lot of love from Jesus. So just sitting before the Blessed Sacrament. So really what I've heard from a lot of other formators and what I'm learning is the most important thing is to point them back to him. I think a lot of spiritual directors learn that too. Sure. That like, I can't give you the answer. You gotta
well, because he can love unconditionally.
And I can't do that. Exactly.
I mean, even in the Catholic Church, you can have a mentor, you could have a hero in the church. They're still not going to be able to love you.
They're not perfect.
Unconditionally.
Right.
It's just the reality. You can try.
For sure.
That's our goal. But we're gonna mess up.
Yes. I do all the time.
Okay. I'm just gonna ask you.
How have I messed up?
Well, I want to know kind of, there's been a challenge in your life or a struggle of failure, a mess up where you can honestly now just say, thank you, God, for it because I learned.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I would say in my formation work, it's just been really humbling. The times when I was either suspicious or I was like doubting the woman's, heart, the woman's like best intentions. And yeah, just time and again, when I kind of struggle to, okay, I need to talk to her. And then I go and talk to her and I find out there was a lot more to the story. And I can see it a little bit more from the Lord's perspective of how he sees the whole picture and how merciful he is. That's helped me a lot, but it has been so humbling. So I think the more that I'm humbled, the more that maybe I'm going to be less suspicious now. I'm going to be less just like on my guard with them and just be a little bit more open-hearted. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. I mean, humility is just one of those things that I hate praying for it.
I know. Don't pray for it because it's gonna
it's gonna happen. You're gonna pray for humility, and you're gonna like lose your veil in a
windstorm.
Which has happened to my it's happened.
It's happened to some of my sisters
and
too.
It's pretty darn funny.
I'm sure it is.
Pretty darn. I'll be very honest with you. You know, I studied at the North American College, and we studied at the Gregorian University, international community, and there would be nuns from all over the place. Mm-hmm. And some of these professors were boring as ether. I mean, it was just, it was rough.
And they're speaking Italian.
And they're speaking Italian.
Yeah. And
there was a time when I was just so bored that I normally would have just fallen asleep. But what kept me awake was watching another nun trying to stay awake during my class. She'd be like this, and her habit would, like, she would have to adjust it.
It's a real thing.
It was pure gold. Listen.
Oh, you got to watch us in holy hours sometimes, Father Leo.
No, because that would be creepy.
5:30 in the morning.
I can imagine. In holy hours when you're praying in front of the Blessed Sacrament and it's nothing but silence. It's 5:30 in the morning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're just waking up.
And we're all kind of nodding.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what St. Therese learned, and we all kind of have to learn that too.
That is okay. You know, if you were able to cook for the man you love.
Cook! I love to cook.
What would it be?
What would it be? I love to make tacos. I love to eat tacos probably more than make them. But so yeah, that would
do you cook tacos like a traditional taco, or do you make like white girl
it's
taco?
Like white girl for sure. Americano all the way.
Exactly, melting American cheese on it.
Oh no, not that.
Okay, because that would be kind of sinful. And if you were trying to, like, say you serve tacos to young women, not as novitiates, but just out in the world, because you knew they might have been struggling with something. How would you kind of approach their struggle? I mean, like, what do you think the women in the world are struggling with? And how would you kind of minister to them?
Well, I try to come at it with a lot of humility and not like I'm better than them or know something more than them.
They'll think that we're just going to impose religion on them.
And I think they can feel condescension and they can really sense it. And I sense that in the women that I work with too. Like I want to be really authentic and love them from a really authentic place. So kind of coming at them from the same angle rather than from above, you know, and like, I want to hear your story. And I think what they need is authenticity. They need real girl talk. They need a real listener.
They need authentic real girl talk. Because
not the fake stuff.
I don't identify, and
for sure.
I certainly don't understand. But what do you think that young women in particular? You said insecurity, inside and outside. Yeah. But what else is there? Do you think? Because I kind of want to get women thinking about what are they struggling with. You know, insecurity is one thing, but is there anything else that you think of?
Well, at the root of that is a needing to be loved and a wanting to be loved. And there's a desperation out there. Like women will do anything, girls will do anything, whether that's sexting. You know, I hear about these things that just make me so sad. They'll do anything for some kind of an attention, but it doesn't last very long. It goes up to this peak and then it kind of just peters out. So what's going to last longer?
Are you all on social media? Is there like a social media presence that you all have?
Yeah, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube.
And on YouTube.
Franciscan Sisters TOR.
And, what kind of influence do you think you have? Is it just for those, or do you try to talk to, like, the real issues as opposed to just, you got to love Jesus? Yeah.
That's a good question. Yeah, I think we could probably do more of that. We do share a lot of talks and hopefully some good content on our YouTube page. Our Facebook and Instagram is kind of more just like community building. Like, look at these fun things that we like to do in community.
With the hope to outreach?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a lot of our audience is international, is all ages. It's not just young women.
I'm just going to give you an idea.
Yeah.
Find like 10 topics that you know that women are struggling with, and then just do like a 2-minute clip on it.
That would be awesome. Let's do it.
I'll sign up for your Facebook page.
Okay. I'll tell our media sister.
Please do.
Yeah.
Because I just think that you have a story and you have a unique perspective that a lot of other people will never understand, and they'll just see you as, and I know you're not, but they'll see you as irrelevant to them.
Yeah, I was going to say that word. Yep.
How do you
A lot of
fight
people
that
can
then?
kind of do that. Trying to be a part of people's lives in the way that I'm called to. You know, I'm just in my little world of formation at the Mother House right now, but a lot of our sisters are able to touch real women's lives on college campuses, you know, downtown Steubenville. And just, even if it's just 3 or 4, you know, in a span of a whole year, that makes a difference. It matters. And in the kingdom, those things matter.
How can people find out about you all and the work that you do?
Going to our website, franciscansisterstor.org. They can find us on social media.
How do they find
Come out and
music?
visit us. My music, yeah, it's on all kinds of platforms. Spotify, I think a lot of people
What do
listen
they
to
find?
Spotify.
Just Sister Mary Gemma?
Sister Mary Gemma, spell out sister, and Mary Gemma, Gemma. And the album is called Go Forward, which is from a quote from St. Clair, where she encourages her sisters to go forward.
Now
and
you
follow
live
the Lord.
you live in a kind of a secluded
Yes, the Mother House.
mother house.
Yeah.
But you know that the world is pretty messed up. I just kind of want to hear your thoughts on what do you think's happening in the world right now?
So much war, division, a lot of negativity. I think we participate in the world in a very real way through our intercession, reparation, and atonement, like I said. And I think even though it might seem like we're irrelevant, we're like isolated in that Mother House or in our different little places where we do mission. I think prayer, when it reaches the heart of Jesus, our praise, you know, which makes up for those who blaspheme Jesus. St. Francis said that. Yeah, I think it reaches his heart and it goes out to wherever it's most needed. So we pray often, you know, for the war in Ukraine. We pray often for the poor, the downtrodden, those addicted to drugs and different things. And so, yeah, I think that is very relevant. It's very needed. Anyone who suffers, anyone who is secluded or isolated at home, who's watching this right now, you have a purpose. Each of us has a purpose. We can pray. It's not just the active life that matters. It's also the contemplative life that really matters.
And you know, you're in a type of a community that is contemplative.
Yeah.
So you spend a lot of time contemplating. Do you think that that limits you to being effective in the world, or
There could definitely be a temptation.
Yeah, so tell me
to
about
feel that. Yeah, I've definitely often, I think especially when I have assignments at the Mother House and not in one of our mission houses, there can be this like, I'm less than kind of thought, because that comes from the world, right? That like we need to produce, we need to
because you're not a
show.
missionary.
Yep. It can seem like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, who's the patron saint of missionaries? Yes, Francis
contemplative.
Xavier, but Saint Therese.
Saint Therese of Lisieux, yeah.
Right. So, and she never left her monastery, you know, for her entire very short life.
Touche, sister, touche.
So, yeah, I think
people forget that you being in a you're not cloistered, but a contemplative community, that somehow you're not able to affect people, but by praying for them, you're affecting them.
Yeah. And I think the other thing I would mention too is that we love to host people for retreats. So I think that's a huge way to change people's lives from the inside, is for people to come and experience the Lord with us at our Mother House.
Awesome.
So you can come and make a retreat there.
If people are listening to this and they're like, gosh, I got so much out of it, but you wanted them to walk away with kind of one thing, what would that be?
I think to come to know Jesus and who he really is and how much he really loves you, because it's way more than you can even imagine.
And how can I, as a priest, help? How can I help you, sister?
Yeah. I think in doing your part in the world, which is often preaching the word.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, there can be a tendency today, sometimes in homilies or whatever, to like, or talks or whatever, you know, when you're out and about speaking, to like focus on different issues. And I love what Pope Francis always kind of brings us back to, is like, what's the gospel? What's the kerygma? That's going to draw souls. That's going to draw hearts to the Lord. And the issues will kind of take care of themselves after that. Like the truth will set us free after we know who the truth is. Does that make sense? So like preaching Jesus first and foremost. That's what I would hope, and that's what I would say.
Thank you so much for being a part of this show.
Thank you, Father Leo. Thanks for having me.
It really was to be able to talk to Sister Mary Gemma and to be able to hear her insights. I'm going to reflect on what I got out of it, my reactions on our Patreon community. So make sure you sign up for that. Tell family and friends about it, because we can only really spread this message if you're a part of it. So special thanks to my special guest, a nerdy nun. But only on the Father Leo Show, where Sister was helping me dish out faith, culture, and commentary. Thanks for watching. God bless you. Stay hungry for God. This was awesome.
Thank you.
It means a lot to me that you'd be willing to come on and share. Really.
Thank you so much.
Really awesome.
It's really